Hi, this is Laurie Mangold, and I'm here to do a skill builder on the no waste flying goose method. And this is a method that a lot of people use, and it's easy because you have a formula to figure out what size to cut your squares, and when you finish, they come out pretty accurate to the size they need to be. I like using this guide that I got from, it's called patchpieces.com. So you can go and print this, it's in color. She has on here the formula to calculate what size to cut your squares. This method uses one square, which will be your goose. You want to go ahead and zoom in. So one square is going to be your goose, which is the big triangle here. And then you'll cut 4 squares, smaller squares, that will become the sky. Okay, so a goose and sky is what you're looking at. A quick calculation, you're going to get the goose block, you're going to take the finished size and add 7 1/4 inches. 7 1/4. Add 1 1/4 inches. So this finishes at 6. We're going to add 1 1/4 inches. So we would cut this square 7 1/4. Then we would take the sky and we're going to take the height, which is 3 inch finished, and we're going to add 7/8 of an inch, and we're going to cut 4 squares that are 3 7/8. You can do that with any size. As long as you know the finished size, you can calculate what you need to cut, and which is nice so that if you have an odd shaped flying goose block, that you're able to figure out what size squares you're going to cut. We're going to start with our 7 1/4 inch square, and we're going to draw a line on one diagonal. Now, then we're going to take 2 of the 3 7/8. And remember, you're getting 4 flying geese out of this. We're going to put one of our 3 7/8 inch square at the bottom, lining up the edges, and we're going to put the other one at the top. We want our diagonal lines that we drew to intersect and overlap here in the corner, so you can see they're lined up. And we're going to pin those in place. Then what we're going to do is we're going to sew a 1/4 inch on each side of that line that we drew, sewing these on. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to cut it on that drawn line, or you can put your 1/4 inch line on one of the sewn lines, and we're just going to cut this in half like this, which gives us 2 of these funny shapes here. And that's okay, they need to be funny, and we're going to get 2 flying geese out of each one of these for a total of 4. I'm going to set one over here, and I'm going to pull one over, and then I'm going to press the little sky pieces to the sky, right? So we're going to press these right up. All right, got that done. So the next thing we're going to do is now we're going to take another one of our 3 7/8 inch squares in this case. And remember, we've drawn a line on point to point on one diagonal all the way. Okay, once this is on, you're going to now sew a 1/4 inch away from each side of this line, which we have done, and you can see in the white thread. When you come off, you're going to be very close to where these 2 intersect. You may want to sew a scant 1/4 just to make sure that you've got a good seam allowance, but I'm going to cut that in half now on that line, that drawn line, which is going to give us 2 that look like this. And that's kind of there, again, it's kind of a funny shape, and the first time you do this, you're like, I don't think I know what I'm doing. But you do. I'm going to bring this back so I can press it. I am going to flip this up, and I'm going to take my iron and I'm going to press that up like that, and I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Okay, and yes, I'm ironing more than pressing, I apologize, but okay. So there are the 2 flying geese that we got out of 1/2 of the square that we started with, and this is the other half, and I would repeat the same thing with this one. And then all you want to do is take your ruler, and we want that pressed up. You want to take your ruler and measure. These are 3 1/2 by 6 1/2 finished or unfinished before we sew them in, and you're going to want to check that with your ruler and trim them up. But pretty quick and easy, and it's a method you can use to make any size Flying Goose block that you need. So that's the no waste method.